Greetings all, and thanks for tuning in for this paranormal pit stop. Tonight, we'll be exploring a historic home turned museum located off of S Street Northwest in Washington, D.C. that sits in the historic Sheridan Kalorama neighborhood adjacent to the city's iconic Embassy Row. Recognized for its acting as resident to 28th President of the U.S. Thomas Woodrow Wilson following his departure from office, and rumored to be roamed by all manner of restless spirits. Are you prepared to brave the hauntings of the Woodrow Wilson House? Historically, this aged abode was first constructed in 1915 by Henry Fairbanks under prominent architect Watty Butler Wood. In December of 1920, President Wilson would acquire the deed for the property and would present it to his wife, Edith Wilson, as a gift. And on March 4th of 1921, upon departing office, the Wilsons would move their belongings from the White House to their new home. Over the following years, the Wilsons would make a number of improvements and modifications to the expanse, including the additions of a library of over 8,000 books, of a billiards room, and of a one-story brick garage. On November 10th of 1923, the former president would perform a short but meaningful national address from the comfort of his beloved library, though sadly it would mark his last, as on February 3rd of 1924, he would pass in an upstairs bedroom. Following his death, Edith would continue to reside in the home until her own passing, much later on December 28th of 1961, after which she would bequeath their cherished property and all of its belongings to the National Trust for Historic Preservation. In 1963, the property was opened to the public as a museum, and in 1964, it was designated a National Historic Landmark, all but ensuring its ongoing preservation. Today, the Woodrow Wilson House remains nearly exactly as it was when the former president resided within, complete with his furnishings, presidential memorabilia, art and photography, gifts of state, and more than 8,000 additional artifacts. The property remains under the management of the National Trust for Historic Preservation and offers a wealth of educational materials and guided tours, while hosting numerous events and venues, including weddings, art galleries, and more each year. From the time of its opening, this old abode has been surrounded by a number of ghost stories and tales of the inexplicable, with many theorizing its hauntings are tied to the spirits of the Wilsons and to the souls of those who loved the property in life. And both staff and visitors to the home have reported objects that move on their own, doors that open and close by themselves, lights that flick off suddenly, leaving all present in darkness, disembodied voices and footsteps heard from empty rooms, and encounters with the full-bodied apparitions of what are believed to be family and friends from the house's past, often spied roaming the halls, or disappearing straight through solid surfaces. Chillingly, activity on site is said to get so intense at times that it's actually resulted in a caretaker quitting his job suddenly in 1969, citing that he just wasn't able to take it any longer. Sadly, the most prominent legend associated with this haunt has to do with President Wilson himself, and tells of how he'd held high hopes following his 1919 stroke, but had just never fully recovered. It's documented Wilson was in denial regarding his condition, and even maintained the belief that he could be re-elected for a third term, and many believe these unrealistic and by some accounts even delusional fantasies resulted in his spirit's unrest. To date, many who have entered this old residence have reported disembodied footsteps accompanied by the dull thud of a cane, and encounters with the full-bodied apparition of the aged president, both in his old rocking chair and at his desk, clad in a dress shirt, tie, jacket, and covered in an old lap robe or blanket, the left side of his face drooping slightly as he seemingly dwells on what could have been. Thanks for joining us for this paranormal pit stop. If you enjoyed our histories and ghost stories, go ahead and subscribe to our channel, throw us a like, and share us with anyone you feel deserves a good scare. We'll catch you next time.